In this video, we see some terrifying footage of a home fire in Utah. Family is seen desperately attempting to flee. The fire was caused by a scooter battery explosion, but what's surprising is the family stated the scooter was being charged outside, and in spite of that, disaster still struck. Listen as the woman screams for her family and her cat, Callie.
Callie, where's Callie? And the cat!
However, time was up and a massive explosion occurred. Here's the aftermath of the explosion. The house is completely engulfed in flames.
Everything's gone. Everything. It's just all in ashes.
Some horrific news. One of their cats made it. Callie, who you heard in the video earlier, did not. Anyone that has followed this channel for years knows how much I love cats, and I know the feeling of losing a cat. My heart goes out to the family. I'm glad everyone else survived at least. March 6, 1995 started out like any other day in Lake Orion, Michigan, until it turned into the beginning of a tragedy. Scott Amador, a 32-year-old bartender known for his kindness and energy, appeared on The Jenny Jones Show for a segment called Secret Crush. His hidden admirer, a man named Jonathan Schmitz, someone Scott had known for years. Jonathan was caught off guard when he learned on live television that the admirer was Scott. He laughed it off and said he was straight, but the awkwardness of that moment stuck with him. 3 days later, Scott was dead. After receiving a note, likely left playfully by Scott, Jonathan snapped, bought a shotgun, drove to Scott's mobile home, asked if he had left the note, and when Scott confirmed, Jonathan retrieved the weapon and shot him twice in the chest. He then calmly drove to a gas station and confessed. The murder sparked a media storm, dubbed the Jenny Jones murder, and questions swirled about the show's role in pushing emotional boundaries for the sake of ratings. Jonathan was eventually convicted of second-degree murder, sentenced to 25 to 50 years, then released on parole after 22. Scott's family later sued the show and initially won $9.3 million, but the ruling was overturned. What began as a talk show stunt ended in a very real, irreversible loss, turning one man's moment in the spotlight into another's nightmare. In August 2015, an Ohio mother called 911 after finding her 3-month-old son, Noah, unresponsive. Emergency crews rushed to the scene and did everything they could to revive the baby, but despite their efforts, Noah was later pronounced dead.
911, where's your emergency?
Yes, we have an emergency. Our little infant, he's not breathing at all.
Okay, can you start CPR?
Yes, my wife's trying. Keep going.
Who are we talking about? How old a patient?
He's 3 months.
Okay. What happened prior to this?
I don't know. I just got home and I went to check my son, and he's cold.
He's cold to the touch?
He's getting cold to the touch, yes.
Okay, is she doing CPR? Is someone doing CPR?
Yes, my wife is, but I mean, he's...
720. What is your name, sir?
My name is Joseph Pilkington.
What is it?
Father. Joseph Pilkington.
Pilkington?
Pilkington.
Okay. Okay, I see that. Okay, I got that.
My son's name is Niall.
Okay, I have help on the way, sir, but I want to stay on the phone with you. Is anything happening with the CPR?
No.
Nothing's happening. Is she doing the CPR correctly?
Yes, she's still doing it. His lips are white.
His lips are white?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do 2 breaths and 30 compressions, okay?
2 breaths and 30 compressions.
Make sure the airway's clear. Tilt his head back, and you put them in the palm of your hand, like on your forearm, and push down in the middle of his chest with 2 fingers. Okay?
Keep going, honey. Keep going.
Is he crying or anything?
No. Niall, come on, baby. Keep going. Not too much.
Is anything happening? You want me to count with you?
Son, I hope the ambulance is on its way.
Yeah, they're on their way. The Buffalo Police Department's sending the ambulance, okay?
Yeah.
What's your wife's name?
My wife's name is Brittany.
Okay, is she still doing the compressions? Is anything happening?
Yes. She's very pale.
Is that him?
That's my son, Gavin.
Oh, okay.
Let's go back in the other room now. Go. Come on. not in the hospital.
All right. Well, keep the compressions going. Is he changing color or anything like that?
What?
Is he changing color or anything like that?
No, he's pale. He's white.
Okay. Still do the compressions, okay?
Yeah.
The squad is already on their way, okay?
Yeah. Kids, go back in here, please.
How's your wife doing?
My wife's name's Brittany. Helping.
How is she doing? Is she the compressions helping or?
He's doing it, ma'am, but his arms are purple now. Nothing. Has he got a pulse now? No. No pulse.
There is no pulse.
No pulse. He's got no pulse now.
Okay, we still need to keep the compressions. Don't stop doing the compressions.
Keep doing the compressions, honey. Keep pushing on his heart.
Now, you're not pushing on his heart. You're pushing in between his nipples.
Yeah, that's...
2 fingers.
Yeah.
Does she have them on her forearm? It's kind of easier to do it like that?
Ma'am. Oh, up here. Up here.
Okay, the squad's going to be there to help you, okay?
This wasn't the first tragedy connected to the mother, Brittany Pilkington. Investigators quickly took a closer look and learned this was the 3rd child to die under her care. Within hours, Brittany confessed to killing all 3 of her sons: Noah, 4-year-old Gavin, who died just 4 months earlier, and 3-month-old Niall, who had passed away the year before. She said she was jealous of the attention the boys got from their father, Joseph Pilkington. The case only grew more disturbing when it was revealed that Joseph had once dated Brittany's mother and was later convicted of a misdemeanor sex charge related to his relationship with Brittany before they were married. Brittany's legal team claimed she had suffered brain damage from lead poisoning as a child and endured abuse from Joseph. In a plea deal, Brittany admitted to 2 counts of murder and 1 count of involuntary manslaughter. She was sentenced to a minimum of 37 years in prison. On January 16, 2009, what was supposed to be a routine political interview on Israeli TV took a devastating turn. Journalist Shlomi Eldar received a call during the live broadcast from Dr. Izzeldin Abuelaish, a Palestinian physician known for his commitment to peace and for working in Israeli hospitals. But this call wasn't about medicine. It was a cry for help. An Israeli airstrike had just hit his home in Gaza, killing 3 of his daughters and his niece. Eldar, visibly shaken, put the call on speaker, allowing viewers across the country to hear Dr. Abuelaish's raw anguish, his voice breaking, his surviving children screaming in the background. He begged for help, saying some of his family were still alive but unreachable. In that moment, the war stopped being about politics and became heartbreakingly human. Instead of turning to hate, Dr. Abuelaish responded with a call for peace. He later wrote a memoir titled I Shall Not Hate and became a global advocate for coexistence. His grief, broadcast live, became one of the most powerful reminders of the true cost of war, not statistics, but the lives and futures that vanish in an instant.
You know what's crazy? It's just you and me in this room. Are you sure?
A late-night DUI stop in Vancouver, Washington turned deadly when 54-year-old Mark Fogel got into a violent struggle with a Clark County deputy inside a weigh station. It started when Fogel, suspected of drunk driving after crashing into 2 parked cars, was taken to the Ridgefield weigh station for a breathalyzer test.
And clearly I've been drinking. Yeah. And I ran into these cars.
Okay. Do you need medical attention, sir?
No, I do not. Okay. But my life is over.
Okay. All right.
I wouldn't go that far.
I do.
Okay.
You do not need medical attention, correct?
I do not. But as you will see, I am a CDL driver.
Okay.
And like I said, my life's over.
How much have you had to drink tonight?
More than I need to.
Okay. Where are you coming? Are you on your way home? Is that what happened?
No.
Okay.
Nobody else is involved. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'll do this at my point.
So turn around for me, sir.
yeah, you're under arrest.
Yes, thank you.
Don't put your hand in your pocket.
Keep it out of your my wallet.
No, drop it.
Alright. I'll take you out of handcuffs. You're gonna take a seat on that bench there, okay?
Pardon?
I'm gonna take you out of handcuffs. You can take a seat on the bench there.
Once inside, Deputy Bryson Layton removed Fogel's handcuffs to begin the test. Fogel at first cooperated, putting his hands on his head and saying it was for your safety, but things took a dark turn.
What's
It's
this?
for your safety.
Well, you promise you're not gonna hurt me?
I'm promising.
Oh. As long as you say you're not gonna hurt me, like we're good here. If you're worried, you think you're gonna hurt me, I'm just gonna put you back in handcuffs. Your hands down. You're all right. Or not. If you want to be uncomfortable, that's fine.
You don't know who I'm dealing with. You don't know who you're dealing with.
That's true. So are you going to hurt me?
No, I'm not.
Okay, well, I trust you.
All right.
He began making unsettling statements like, you don't know who you're dealing with, and it's only you and me in this room. He also expressed despair about losing his commercial license over the charge.
Maybe I'll make it through the night. I don't know.
It is 23:40. Mark, you're going to make it through the night, all right? This isn't as big a deal as you think it is. It's a mystery.
No. You have no idea.
Okay. Go ahead and open your mouth. I'm going to check in your mouth. Is there anything inside you that's not put there by a doctor or dentist?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. My life's f***ing over.
Why do you say that?
You keep saying, look at my ID. I'm a CDL driver.
Okay.
So basically, my life's f***ing over. Can't make a living.
Doesn't immediately mean that your life is over, Mark.
It is
People
over.
are,
I'm done.
I have arrested CDL drivers before who have been able to turn around and make it through.
I'm f***ing done.
Alright, we're just gonna.
I'm a dead man. You're talking dead man.
You're not a dead man, Mark.
Yes, I am a dead man. I'm not making it through the night. What time is it?
It's midnight.
Thank you. It's just you and me in this room.
It's just you and me in this room, but this is a police station. There's plenty of troopers here.
Are there?
Yeah.
When the deputy moved to reapply the cuffs, Fogel resisted. A violent fight broke out. At one point, Layton yelled that Fogel was going for his gun. Fogel responded, "That's what I want."
Me in this room, but this is a police station. There's plenty of troopers here.
Are there?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Did you not see me talking to the trooper when we first pulled up?
How many people are here in the room?
Are you trying to make threatening?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, why are you saying things like that?
I don't know.
Okay, go ahead and stand up. Turn around, face away from me.
Sure. Are you sure?
Yeah, turn around, face away from me right now.
You sure?
Boy, 73, I'm fighting with one.
Are you sure?
Give me the air, he's reaching for my gun. Mark, you're gonna get f***ing shot!
Yeah. That's what I want.
Motherfucker.
Mark, get the f*** away from me! Get the f*** away from me, Mark!
I'm not looking to shoot you.
The body cam briefly cuts out, but when it resumes, Fogel is seen fatally stabbed multiple times in the back. The struggle reportedly lasted 30 minutes. Fogel was pronounced dead shortly after 12:30 a.m. Deputy Layton wasn't hurt. It was 2016 in Moscow, and the audience of the popular show Prolub expected an evening of lighthearted entertainment. Instead, they watched something they'd never forget. The show brought out a brown bear named Bana, dressed in a red and yellow skirt with a matching hat. Despite the costume and heavy leather muzzle, she was still a wild animal. While her handler fed her treats and led her through tricks, A presenter stepped forward, perhaps trying to engage or make a point, and reached out. In a split second, the bear lashed out, grabbing her clothing and yanking her down hard. The room went silent. Then, just as suddenly, Bono let go. The handler quickly pulled her back, and the shaken presenter got to her feet, visibly rattled. There was no blood, but the fear on her face said enough. That moment shattered the illusion. Bono wasn't just a performer in a costume. She was a predator acting on instinct. For animal rights groups, it was a chilling example why wild animals don't belong on stage. This time, it ended without tragedy, but what if it hadn't? It was June 14, 2008 in Miyazaki, Japan, and the TV show Jaga Jaga Tengoku was in full swing. The cameras rolled, the crowd laughed, and the star of the day, Yanagita Tetsushi, a lively TV announcer, was covering a wild mud splashing event called Butsumo. Always the showman, Yanagita didn't just report, he dove headfirst into the muddy water for laughs. But the fun stopped in an instant. Instead of soft mud, he hit solid ground. His body slammed into it hard. The audience kept cheering, not realizing something was horribly wrong. Even his co-host poured more mud on him. Unaware Yanagita couldn't move. Crew members rushed to help, but shaking someone with a spinal injury only made things worse. He was rushed to the hospital where doctors said he had a severe spinal injury and only a 1% chance of ever moving again. Most would have given up, not Yanagita. A year later, he managed to lift his arm. 10 months in, he returned home in a wheelchair. 3 years after the accident, he came back to television. By 2012, he was back on air regularly. His recovery wasn't just physical, it was a fight for his identity. Every moment, every word was proof he wouldn't let one fall define him. His journey is more than survival. It's a powerful reminder that even the darkest moments don't have to be the final chapter. In 2011, Britain said goodbye to Jimmy Savile, a beloved TV host, eccentric public figure, and celebrated charity fundraiser. His funeral was grand and tributes poured in, but beneath the glowing praise, troubling questions lingered. For decades, whispers about Savile's behavior had circulated, but no one had taken them seriously until after his death. That's when it all unraveled. Investigations revealed a horrific pattern of abuse. Savile had preyed on the young, the vulnerable, even hospital patients. Using his fame and charity work as cover, over 500 victims came forward. He had unrestricted access to hospitals, worked closely with children, and was even linked to the royal family. Many institutions, including the BBC, had turned a blind eye for years. Survivors described abuse spanning decades, from children as young as 5 to elderly patients in their 70s. Reports showed how Savile was protected by power, ignored by police, and hidden behind his celebrity status. When the truth finally came out, the country was forced to confront a harsh reality. Savile had operated in plain sight, and countless people had chosen not to see it. He died without ever being held accountable, but the damage he caused, and the silence that allowed it, left a permanent scar. At first glance, this CCTV footage looks completely routine, just a couple of people walking into a convenience store. They make their way to the counter, go about a standard transaction, and for a moment, it feels like nothing out of the ordinary is happening. But then the woman starts to get agitated. She gestures sharply at the clerk, even makes them turn around at one point, clearly asserting control in the interaction. Eventually, she and her companion walk out, leaving behind what looks like a simple moment of tension. What makes this footage deeply unsettling is what we now know. The woman in the video is Joanna Dennehy, later infamously known for the Peterborough Ditch murders. She brutally killed 3 men, her partner, a friend, and a housemate, stabbing them before dumping their bodies in remote ditches. It's highly likely that the man calmly walking beside her in this video was one of her victims, still unaware that his fate was already sealed. Scenes like this serve as eerie reminders of how even the most terrifying individuals can blend into everyday life, leaving no sign of the darkness beneath the surface. On October 25th, 2016, Kate Goodchild was spending what should have been a fun, carefree day with her family at Dreamworld, Australia's largest theme park. She was joined by her daughter, her brother Luke Dorset, and his partner, Ruzi Aragi. Like many families that day, they were exploring the park, taking in the atmosphere, and picking out which rides to try. Eventually, they made their way to one of Dreamworld's most popular attractions, the Thunder River Rapids ride. The ride was designed to mimic the rush of whitewater rapids, with guests seated in a circular raft that floated along a fast-moving stream. Kate and her family hopped aboard one of the 6-seater rafts. along with 2 other park visitors, Cindy Lowe and her young son. For a few minutes, the group enjoyed the ride, splashing through the churning water, but as they approached the final stretch, the part where the raft is lifted onto a conveyor belt and brought back to the unloading platform, something was clearly off. Up ahead, another raft sat motionless on the belt. It was stuck, not moving as it should have been. What no one on the ride knew was that one of the water pumps had stopped working earlier that day. This pump failure caused water levels to drop, which disrupted the ride's flow and stranded the raft ahead of Kate's. Despite this major issue, the ride wasn't shut down. There were no warnings, no emergency stop, and no one halted the conveyor system. Kate's raft continued to move forward until it collided with a stalled raft. The impact caused the first raft to dip back into place, but in doing so, it tilted Kate's raft upward, forcing it into a vertical position. Within seconds, disaster struck. All 4 adults, Kate, Luke, Ruzi, and Cindy, were thrown from the raft. 2 were crushed between the raft and the moving conveyor belt. The other 2 fell through the gaps in the belt and were pulled into the machinery below. None of them survived. Miraculously, the 2 children on board managed to climb out and escape, but as they did, they witnessed the horrifying death of their family members, just moments after what had been a joyful experience. The ride was shut down, and water was drained from the system so that rescue workers could retrieve the victims' bodies, a process so traumatic it left even seasoned paramedics in need of counseling. Dream World closed for 6 weeks as an investigation began, and what that investigation uncovered was staggering. In its 30 years of operation, the Thunder River Rapids ride had never undergone a proper hazard assessment. The ride operators were not adequately trained, didn't know the emergency protocols, and many didn't even know where the emergency stop button was, let alone that it wasn't clearly labeled. The broken water pump had caused issues all day long, and still the ride continued to run. Coroner James McDougall, who led the investigation, concluded that the tragedy had been inevitable. A simple water level monitoring system could have caught the issue early, potentially saving lives, but it was never installed. Safety procedures were lacking across the board. The fallout was immense. Dreamworld's parent company, Ardent Leisure, later renamed Coast Entertainment Holdings, was fined $3.6 million. Their CEO resigned, attendance plummeted. The park faced tens of millions in legal settlements and public backlash. By 2018, the Thunder River Rapids ride was demolished entirely. For those who grew up visiting Dreamworld, this tragedy felt especially close to home. Videos still exist on YouTube of people enjoying that very ride, filmed just days before the fatal accident, completely unaware of the danger beneath the surface. Kate Goodchild, Luke Dorset, Ruzi Aragi, and Cindy Lowe should still be alive today. Instead, due to years of negligence, 2 families were shattered. Kate and Cindy's children are now forced to grow up without their mothers. Today, a memorial stands at Dreamworld in remembrance of those lost that day, a solemn reminder of what happens when safety is treated as an afterthought. The final moments of 27-year-old Renita Williams were captured on camera in April 2018 during a horrifying act of domestic violence on the day of her death.
I'm gonna make you famous.
Williams began a Facebook Live broadcast, speaking to her audience when her former boyfriend, 36-year-old Jonathan Robinson, was seen pacing around in the backyard.
No. No. Everybody want to be famous, let's be famous today. Okay.
As the broadcast continued, Robinson could be heard verbally abusing and threatening Renita while she pleaded with him repeatedly to stop.
Huh? I do. Yes. He's telling you I get on these bitches level. No.
Tragically, her pleas fell on deaf ears. In a sudden and horrific turn, Robinson fired multiple shots at Renita using a rifle, ending her life in an instant. Police arrived at the scene shortly after the incident, leading to a tense standoff where Robinson also fired at officers. Eventually, he surrendered and was taken into custody. A year later, in April 2019, Robinson pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His guilty plea spared him from facing a potential death sentence. The last day of the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival in Las Vegas started like any other, a time for friends and family to sing, dance, and enjoy live music. But at 10:05 p.m., everything changed. During the final act of the night, country singer Jason Aldean performed in front of 20,000 people when loud cracking sounds echoed through the air. A wave of confusion swept through the crowd. At first, people thought the sounds were firecrackers or fireworks. As the concert was dark and the booming music and roaring crowd made it hard to distinguish what was really happening. As the music abruptly stopped, Jason Aldean, visibly concerned, exited the stage. The concert goers fell into an eerie silence, just loud enough to hear the screams that grew louder as the cracking sounds continued. Slowly, it became clear. Those weren't fireworks. They were gunshots. People ran for their lives, some diving for cover, others jumping fences to escape the area. But no one knew where the bullets were coming from. As the crowd cleared, a sea of people was left on the ground, some writhing in pain, others motionless. It was the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history.
I'm sorry, there's where?
At the Route 91 concert, right across the street from Mandalay Bay.
And how many people?
Oh, thousands of people.
Okay, not a problem. Ma'am, what are you seeing?
I'm not seeing any. Everybody's just running.
Meanwhile, across the street at the Mandalay Bay Hotel, security guard Jesus Campos was checking the 32nd floor when he noticed the fire escape doors were blocked. He began to hear strange noises, which he mistook for construction sounds. What he didn't realize was that he had walked right into the gunman's sight. The shooter had set up hidden cameras in room service carts along the hallway to monitor his movements. Before Campos could react, he was shot in the leg. Taking cover, Campos radioed in what was happening. Law enforcement quickly arrived at the scene and began to knock down the door to the gunman's room. But by the time they reached him, Stephen Paddock, the 64-year-old perpetrator, had already ended his own life. The gunfire had lasted over 10 minutes, during which more than 850 concertgoers were injured and 60 people lost their lives. Paddock had been staying at Mandalay Bay for 6 days before the attack, a regular at the hotel's casino. He had been given a free stay. Over that time, he brought in more than 20 pieces of luggage, which contained 23 firearms and over 6,000 rounds of ammunition. He fired over 1,000 bullets that night. If it weren't for Campos noticing something was wrong and alerting authorities, who knows how many more lives might have been lost. Following the tragedy, MGM Resorts International, the owners of Mandalay Bay, and their insurers settled for $800 million, compensating over 4,400 victims and their families. Despite a thorough investigation, the motive behind Paddock's horrific actions remains unclear, and it's likely that we will never know what drove him to commit such an atrocity. On July 10, 2021, police responded to a devastating scene when a lifeless toddler was found at a grandparent's doorstep. Authorities learned that the baby had been dropped off by her parents, 26-year-old Sharkez Giles and 36-year-old Latanya Clemens, who drove away immediately, leaving the grandparent to rush the child to the hospital. Tragically, the 1-year-old girl had been dead for up to 2 days due to fentanyl and cocaine intoxication. Deputies responded to St. Mary's Medical Center that morning, where they found the lifeless body of a 1-year-old girl.
Tell me what happened to Keisha.
It's hard to knock on her door after she came in.
At what time was this?
This morning.
So, this morning.
So you came in? You heard the knock on the door?
She didn't.
I came in from work. Not even 5 minutes later, it was a knock at the door.
Oh, after you, okay.
By the time I got to the door, it was just her. She was just sitting out there in her carrier. Nobody was out there, no car, nothing. Like they just left her just sitting there on the porch. And she was already outside on my porch. When I walked outside, and when I picked her up, her nose was already bleeding, and she had been peeing all over me and everything.
So you picked her up out of her carrier?
Yes, I picked her out of the carrier to see like what was on her body, what was wrong with her, anything. Okay. But when I picked her up, she was just limp.
Yeah,
she just went limp. So I just got in the car, I said, "Mom, we gotta go. I just put her in the car, got in the back seat, I was holding her, and we just came to the hospital.
Yeah, that son is not my daughter. No, I only have my daughter. This is not James.
And how's you related to him, to the little?
I'm her grandmother. I'm her auntie. And that's she's the aunt.
Okay, so the daddy is your son?
Yeah.
Okay.
Explain to me what the baby looked like when you saw the baby.
When I seen her in her carrier, I seen the blood coming from her nose.
Okay, so you saw, blood you said?
Yeah.
Where was blood?
Her nose.
Her nose. Blood was coming out of her nose? Was there blood anywhere else on her body?
Nope, just
And you
her
said you
nose.
saw purple lines on her face, right? Where else? Anything else that looked?
They was on her, the lines was on her forehead.
Okay.
Like she was like laying on her arm or something for a long time or something, but it was something purple on her arm as well.
What was she wearing?
Nothing.
She was completely naked?
Completely naked.
Not a diaper, nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. Those were the injuries that you saw to her? Any other injuries that you saw or anything else that looked funny?
No. I know who she was right away.
Okay.
I had to tell her it's Butte, she needed help.
Okay.
So we just got in the car, rushed her to the hospital.
Do you ever care for this baby at all? Does your mom ever care for this baby?
No,
like watch
they really
her?
don't allow us to.
Oh,
so
why not?
It was weird that you just dropped her off to us, but you don't
that's
even
weird.
allow us to keep her.
Why don't they allow you to keep her?
Because they go with them, her grandparents. I mean, her
Were
side
those
of
the people
family.
who just walked in?
Yes, that's her side of the family.
Gotcha.
Be
How did
with
they
her.
find out what happened?
That's what I said. But
Okay.
they won't even answer the phone for us.
Oh, that's the person who asked me why I need to interview y'all?
Yeah, her sister. That's her sister.
Okay, gotcha.
We didn't wait no time. When I seen how she was looking, we didn't wait no time. I jumped in the car with my mama. I got in the back seat. Me and my nephew got in the back seat with the baby, and my mama drove here.
He dropped CRE off. Who dropped them off?
Sharquez.
Was Sharquez alone?
Yeah.
What Sharquez say to you?
Nothing. He was, I'm gonna get your grandchild.
Okay. So is that normally what he does? He brings the baby over. How often do you watch?
I watch, like I told you, I don't really watch her.
Yeah, but you
I've
watch
always
CRE.
been in his life.
Beautiful's been dead for quite a while. So that's what we're trying to figure out.
What do you mean quite a while?
Like maybe more than a day. So we're trying to figure out what happened as in terms of how this child passed away. I know it's a lot for you. I'm just trying to tell you the information so we can kind of work together to figure out what happened. You understand? So you got CRE at about 9 o'clock yesterday, right? Okay. All right. It's okay, sweetheart.
No, it's not.
I know.
It's not.
Let me call somebody.
I know.
A neighbor told investigators that she had seen one of the parents, Giles, vacuuming out an SUV at 1 a.m. the night before, and another witness claimed to have seen the 6-year-old child pouring white powder into the toddler's mouth while she struggled. Despite the alarming situation, Giles and her partner Clemens never called 911, even as they passed multiple hospitals on their way. Giles is currently being held at the Palm Beach County Jail with a bond set at over $1 million. She is scheduled to return to court on September 27. Similarly, Clemens is also being held at the Palm Beach County Jail with her bond set at more than $1 million. Court records indicate that she has been deemed a flight risk by the judge, and she too is due back in court on September 27. They now face charges of third-degree felony murder, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and child neglect in connection with the tragic death of their daughter.
We're on our way. We just landed in Nebraska.
On July 26, 2024, the Nellens, a renowned gospel group, were inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame.
And we're stopping, where are we going? Montana.
Winter storm. Tragically, while en route to a performance in Alaska, the group was involved in a devastating plane crash in Wyoming. The crash claimed the lives of 3 group members, as well as a husband, an assistant, and the pilot.
There's our wonderful pilot. This is the dude right there. This is Larry. This is the co-pilot.
He handles everything.
The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, released a preliminary report indicating that the plane experienced an autopilot failure, which led to a loss of control. Witnesses reported seeing the aircraft perform a barrel roll before crashing. The pilot had communicated the autopilot issue to air traffic control and made an attempt to regain control before the fatal descent.
All of a sudden, the plane starts to pitch down, and it pitches up, and it pitches down, and it pitches up. An autopilot issue. And apparently enough at 300 miles an hour that it tore the plane apart.
Autumn Nullen Streetman, the only surviving member of the family group, expressed profound grief and thanked supporters for their prayers and love during this difficult time.
She chose ground transportation because she's pregnant. She posted, "I don't have the words to comprehend how I feel right now, and I'm not sure when I will."
All right, we'll check in later.
In November 2017, 26-year-old Desiree Gibbon from Queens, New York, traveled to Montego Bay, Jamaica to stay at her grandmother's hotel. Far from just being a tourist, Desiree was a model, a passionate traveler, and an aspiring filmmaker with dreams of attending film school in Europe. Montego Bay's energy and beauty offered a peaceful escape from New York's fast pace. Determined to make the most of her time, she looked for bartending work to help fund her future while exploring the island's hidden spots. Her outgoing personality introduced her to many people, some kind, others possibly dangerous. Despite warnings about areas like Anchovy being unsafe, Desiree didn't seem concerned. Then, on November 26, she left the hotel to meet someone and never came back. The next morning, her body was found in nearby bushes. Her throat had been cut, and her face was bruised. The gruesome discovery stunned the community and raised serious concerns about safety and justice in Jamaica. Her grieving mother, Andrea, couldn't shake the feeling that her daughter had been betrayed by someone she trusted. Desiree had always been cautious, but her kindness may have put her at risk. Authorities made little progress. There were no suspects, few leads, and barely any evidence. Her purse, money, and ID were missing, suggesting the crime may have been premeditated. As time passed, frustration grew. Was it a robbery gone wrong, a targeted attack? The case faded into silence, and her family was left desperate for answers. In a place where crime often meets little consequence, Desiree's story became a tragic reminder that even the most beautiful destinations can hide real danger. On September 19, 2019, 40-year-old Stephen Weber Jr. from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, was on a dream vacation in Tanzania with his girlfriend, Kenesha Antoine. They were staying in a stunning underwater room at the luxurious Mana Resort off Pemba Island, an unforgettable $1,700 per night experience. But Stephen had more than just relaxation in mind. Known for his romantic nature, he planned an underwater proposal, with a ring in one hand and a love note sealed in a Ziploc bag in the other. He swam up to the glass window of their cabin while Kenesha filmed from inside. The note read that he couldn't hold his breath long enough to list all the reasons he loved her, but he asked the big question, "Will you marry me?" Kenesha laughed and smiled overjoyed. But then Stephen swam out of sight and didn't return. Minutes passed, worry turned to panic. Kenesha tried to get help, flagging down boats and alerting resort staff. When Stephen was finally pulled from the water, he still had a faint pulse, but despite desperate CPR efforts, he didn't survive. Kenesha later shared her heartbreak online, revealing that Stephen never got to hear her say yes. His sudden death stunned everyone, especially since he was an experienced swimmer. The resort confirmed that Stephen drowned while freediving in about 32 feet of calm water. Though unanswered questions remain, one thing is certain: Stephen spent his final moments expressing his love in the most heartfelt way. Kenesha holds tightly to the memories they shared, and his loved ones take comfort in knowing he died doing something meaningful. His story is a touching reminder of how fragile life is and how powerful love can be. On the night of November 13, 1989, police in Commerce, Washington were called to the New Liberty Theater, located just east of Vancouver. A concerned caller reported that a man had attempted to carry a young boy out of the building. The boy later told his mother about the incident, and her boyfriend, determined to find the abductor, tracked the man down just a few blocks away. There, he managed to restrain the man until the police arrived. At first, the boyfriend assumed the man was simply a drunk, but when the arresting officer identified the man as Wesley Dodd, it became clear that he was far more dangerous than anyone had realized. Dodd was already known as a serial child molester. However, what they didn't know at the time was that he was also a serial child killer.
Kidnapped 3 little boys, 4-year-old, 10-year-old, and 11-year-old. 2 of them were raped, and then I killed all 3 of them. I didn't just go out and start killing. Everything started happening when I was just 13 years old. See, things kept progressing. I kept getting away with all these crimes while I was going to try to do a little bit more. I was enjoying what I was doing. At the time, I was laughing at them. I mean, hey, great, I could do anything I want. Anything. So that was my original reason for killing, was so that they couldn't report what I'd done, who had done it. But I wasn't sure I could kill, so in my mind, I had to make that exciting. I had to fantasize about it. And to be able to kill, I had to make that thought exciting. And in a matter of just a couple of weeks, I was able to do that, and I was ready to kill. I wanted to kill. And told them, okay, there's just one more thing I want to do before I let you guys go. I pulled the knife back out of my sock, reached over and stabbed Billy near the younger one. Got him in the stomach. I didn't see the knife go in. I don't know if I felt more than saw that I'd hit him. I don't know. I knew I'd stabbed him, but wasn't sure exactly where. I knew it was in the stomach area. And then I turned to Cole and started stabbing him before he could get away. I stabbed Cole 3 times. Billy had gotten up and ran. I caught him, stabbed him 2 more times, and as I was stabbing him, as I caught him and stopped him, he told me, "I'm sorry." After all that had happened, all planning and fantasies and everything, I can't believe I actually did it. I actually killed somebody. I killed 2 little boys. And I just became obsessed with it at that point. I mean, that is all I thought about. Every minute I was awake, I had dreams about it. At work, that's all I thought about. And it was only 7 weeks after I'd murdered the 2 Near brothers that I went into Portland, found a 4-year-old boy, kind of off by himself, asked him if he wanted to play some games, have some fun. He wasn't sure about it, but I reached out my hand, and just kind of an automatic response, he reached out and took my hand. And that was it. He went with me. So I took Lee Isley back to my apartment. This was on October 29th. Immediately had him take his clothes off, tied him to the bed, took a photograph of him tied up, let him loose, told him, "Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to make love like grown-ups do." About 3 o'clock or so in the morning, while I was molesting him, I kind of whispered in his ear, "I'm going to kill you in the morning." I wasn't sure if he was even awake when I said it, but he kind of mumbled, "What?" And I repeated, I said, "I'm going to kill you in the morning." And he said, "No, you're not." And I said, "Okay, I won't." I thought about tying him up and gagging him and leaving him there while I was at work. And again, the landlady might come in and find him. So I decided, well, I have to do it now. I have to kill him now. And with my right hand, I started choking him. Using the rope, I lifted him up and carried him over to my bedroom closet, pushed the clothes aside, and tied the ends of the rope around the bar in the closet and left him hanging there while I got ready for work. I started writing about cannibalism, kidnapping, moving to a different place where I could kidnap kids and keep them and use them for as long as I wanted. I'd have kept on doing it, and the things I would have done would have been even worse than murder. Hanging, that's the way I'm going to go. I'm going to hang because that's the way Lee Isley died. I don't think I deserve a neat, clean, painless little death. Actually, it's not really that I want to die as much as I know I have to, because I know I won't stop killing.
Wesley Allen Dodd's reign of terror ended shortly after midnight on January 5, 1993, when he was granted his request to be hanged for his horrific crimes. Cheryl Coker was born on April 24, 1972 in Dayton, Ohio, to Edward and Mary Overman. Bright, outgoing, and well-liked, she was admired by friends and teachers alike. After graduating from Stebbins High School, she began working at General Motors. In 1999, she married William Bill Coker, who adopted Cheryl's daughter from a previous relationship. The couple later had another daughter, Michaela, in 2003. Cheryl balanced work, motherhood, and education, earning an associate's degree in 2010. By 2018, she worked as a crash technician at KLD Associates and enjoyed spending time with her family, including her granddaughter. A devoted fan of the Columbus Crew soccer team, Cheryl had a full and active life. But behind closed doors, her marriage was unraveling. The couple had agreed to explore an open relationship, but by 2018, Cheryl wanted out. She gave Bill a choice: commit to monogamy or get divorced. When Cheryl discovered he was still having an affair with a coworker, she filed for divorce in September 21. Bill expressed concern over the financial fallout, while Cheryl joked with friends about possibly ending up dead. On October 2, 2018, Cheryl vanished. Bill had just returned from a family wedding in Florida, where he brought his girlfriend, but Cheryl stayed behind. That morning, she dropped Michaela off at school and later chatted with friends online. Then she went silent. Her daughter Michaela became worried and contacted Cheryl's sister, who reported her missing. Using Find My iPhone, police located Cheryl's SUV, abandoned at a strip mall. Surveillance footage showed a man dressed in black parking the vehicle, but the camera didn't capture his face. That same figure was later seen in other nearby areas. Suspicion quickly turned to Bill. He claimed Cheryl had been engaging in risky behavior, but investigators found no proof. More damning was security footage showing Bill in all black with a fresh injury on his arm. Friends also pointed to Cheryl's recent texts that hinted at concern for her safety. Months passed without answers, and Cheryl's case was reclassified as a possible homicide. In April 2020, a mushroom hunter found human remains in a wooded area not far from the Coker home. Dental records confirmed it was Cheryl. The condition of her body made it hard to determine how she died, but investigators were certain foul play was involved. To this day, Bill Coker remains the prime suspect, but no charges have been filed. Cheryl's family continues to seek justice as the mystery of her death remains unsolved. On May 30th, 2024, in the quiet suburb of Warrenip near Bowler, Australia, 42-year-old Renee King left her home around 1:25 p.m. with her black cat Shadow in a carrier. This seemingly ordinary departure marked the beginning of a mystery that would hold the community in suspense for 2 long months. Renee had been living in temporary accommodation after becoming homeless, and her sudden disappearance raised immediate concerns among both her family and local authorities, especially considering the freezing temperatures that winter. In an effort to gather clues, police released CCTV footage from June 2nd, which showed Renee at a residence in the nearby town of Lucas. The footage, recorded at 6 a.m., depicted her shivering in the cold as she rang the doorbell and requested clothing and water from the homeowner. She was seen putting on a second jumper and leaving with 2 bottles of water. Despite extensive searches and public appeals, weeks passed without any sign of Renee. Her bank accounts remained untouched, which only intensified fears for her safety. Then on July 30th, a breakthrough occurred. Renee was found safe and well in Ballarat. However, the details surrounding her disappearance and her eventual discovery were never fully revealed to the public. Nevertheless, her return was a huge relief to her friends and family, who had feared the worst. Amanda Fleetwood was a bright and ambitious 20-year-old with dreams of teaching English in Japan. Full of life, she had recently started a waitressing job and was supported by a loving girlfriend, all while working toward a future filled with possibility. But on July 10th, her promising path was cut short by a senseless act of violence. That morning, Amanda and her close friend Johnny Trump stopped by the bizarre Times store. While browsing, they were approached by a stranger who struck up a casual conversation. At first, it seemed like nothing more than small talk, but after they left the store, the man asked for a ride home. Although they were hesitant, he was persistent, and eventually they agreed. Johnny drove while Amanda sat in the passenger seat. The man directed them to a nearby apartment complex, but just as they arrived, he pulled out a hidden weapon and shot them both. Believing they were dead, the gunman began searching through Johnny's things. But Johnny, severely wounded, managed to escape. He drove the car into a nearby construction site, drawing attention and getting help. Amanda wasn't as fortunate. She died days later at Bentab Hospital from her injuries. Surveillance footage from the store offered disturbing insight. It showed the suspect being dropped off by a modern blue SUV and waiting in the parking lot before following Amanda and Johnny into the store. He was later seen chatting casually with them inside. He was described as a man in his 20s, stocky, around 5'9", wearing a dark t-shirt, a baseball cap, and a beige jacket tied around his waist. One unusual piece of evidence was found in Johnny's car, a juice box that neither friend recognized. It was sent for DNA testing, but so far there's been no match in any criminal database. Despite clear footage and a survivor's testimony, the attacker's identity remains a mystery. Amanda's loved ones are still waiting for justice, and authorities continue to search for answers in this haunting and heartbreaking case. June 14th, 2016 was supposed to be a magical night at Disney World's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa in Orlando, Florida. The Graves family, visiting from Elkhorn, Nebraska, was soaking in the Disney magic. Among them was their curious, adventurous 2-year-old son, Lane Thomas Graves. That evening, the family was enjoying an outdoor screening of Zootopia near the Seven Seas Lagoon. Lane was happily splashing at the edge of the shallow water, just steps from his parents, Matt and Melissa, and his big sister, Ella. It was around 8:30 p.m., a time when Florida's alligators are most active. Without warning, a 7 to 8 foot alligator emerged from the water. In one swift motion, it lunged and grabbed Lane. Matt, just a few feet away, heard the splash and acted instantly. He dove into the water, trying desperately to pry his son from the gator's jaws, but but the animal was too strong. It dragged Lane into deeper water, out of reach and out of sight. What followed was every parent's worst nightmare. A massive search began. Disney staff, law enforcement, and dive teams scoured the lagoon through the night. After 17 long hours, Lane's body was found, 6 feet underwater and about 15 yards from where he was taken. The medical examiner confirmed what no one wanted to hear. Lane had drowned and suffered traumatic injuries from the alligator. The tragedy sent shockwaves across the country. Disney quickly responded, removing nearly 100 alligators from their properties, building fences and barriers around the lagoons, and putting up clear warning signs that specifically mentioned alligators. They also created a lighthouse memorial in Lane's honor, right near the water's edge where the attack happened. Florida wildlife officials investigated the incident and confirmed it was a predatory attack. Although there were no swimming signs posted, they didn't mention alligators. Shockingly, reports later revealed that some guests had already warned Disney staff about gators in the area before the attack, but no action had been taken. Despite their unimaginable loss, Matt and Melissa Graves chose not to sue Disney. Instead, they turned their grief to something powerful. They created the Lane Thomas Foundation, which helps families going through pediatric organ transplants, a cause that now means everything to them. Lane's story is heartbreaking, but his legacy lives on through the children helped in his name and the safety changes made in his memory. The tragic story of Grace Milan, a young woman from the United Kingdom, took a horrifying turn just before her 22nd birthday. Grace, who had always dreamed of seeing the world, left her home to backpack through New Zealand. On the eve of her birthday, she met a man named Jesse Kimson for a Tinder date. While his neat appearance initially seemed harmless, his intentions were anything but. The evening started with Grace and Kimson enjoying a casual dinner at a Mexican cafe, where Grace's warm personality shone as she interacted easily with the staff, sharing smiles and laughter, including a cozy moment at the Blue Room, where the two shared an intimate connection. They strolled down the street and took an elevator to Kimson's room, where they seemed to relax together. But the situation took a dark turn when Kimson's demeanor suddenly changed. He was later seen heading to a store where he purchased a suitcase, a detail that raised suspicion. After that, Grace was no longer seen. Kimson continued his day as if nothing had happened, shopping at a mall, taking the elevator to and from his room, and even going out on another day. But his behavior grew increasingly eerie. He was seen carrying 2 heavy suitcases into an elevator and loading them into a red rental car. His efforts to move the luggage suggested something sinister was at play. The next morning at 6:50 a.m., Kimson was seen at a hardware store purchasing a shovel. When Kimson returned to his hotel, he was only seen with 1 suitcase, which appeared significantly lighter. He was later spotted at a laundromat and car wash, methodically cleaning the rental car. It was clear that something horrific had occurred. Police discovered Grace's body buried with a suitcase serving as a makeshift coffin. Kimson was arrested on December 8th, 7 days after the event. CCTV footage was key in identifying him. In the video, Kimson was seen walking into the hotel, but when he noticed police officers, he casually walked back out. Officers chased after him, and he was soon apprehended. On July 25th, 2019, the world lost a bright and promising young woman in a way that's as heartbreaking as it is haunting. Her name was Alana Cutlin, a 19-year-old Cambridge University student from Milton Keynes, England. She was intelligent, fearless, and curious. Everything you'd expect from someone chasing the unknown. Alana wasn't just a student, she was an explorer, a second-year natural sciences major who had set her sights on Madagascar for a solo research trip. Her mission? To study a rare species of crustaceans in one of the world's most biodiverse and remote regions, on Djibouti. She self-funded the entire trip, planned it down to the detail, and with a passion for discovery, she left the familiar behind. But just 8 days into her 6-week expedition, something went wrong. Alana started showing signs of deep psychological distress. Reports say she became paranoid, confused, disoriented, far from her usual sharp and focused self. The suspected cause? Doxycycline, a common anti-malarial drug known to cause rare but serious psychiatric side effects. Her family back in England began receiving disturbing phone calls. Calls didn't sound like the Alana they knew. Worried and unable to help from so far away, they quickly arranged for her to come home early. A private Cessna plane was secured to take her from Djibouti to the capital, Antananarivo, where she'd catch a flight back to the UK. On board with her were Ruth Johnson, a trusted family friend, and pilot Mahatahina Retrinosi, but what was meant to be a flight to safety soon turned into a nightmare. As the plane cruised at 3,700 feet, Alana suddenly unbuckled her seatbelt. She was panicked, restless, desperate. She reached for the door. Ruth and the pilot tried everything to stop her. They held her, pleaded with her, fought to keep her inside, but in one tragic moment, she broke free and fell out of the plane into the dense, unforgiving jungle below. A massive search was launched, but the terrain was brutal. Thick forests, steep cliffs, and wildlife. Days passed with no signs of her. Then a local tribe made a grim discovery. They found her remains, bringing a sliver of closure to the devastated people who loved her. Alana's family described her as vibrant, driven, and full of life. She had so much more to give, so much more to discover. Her death raised urgent questions about the risks of anti-malarial medications, about the mental toll of isolation, and about how we care for those in distress while abroad. Her uncle Lester Riley believes the medication triggered her mental breakdown. Her final calls, he said, were confused and incoherent, evidence of a mind overwhelmed by something beyond her control. Experts acknowledge the danger. While rare, reactions like Alana's are real and potentially deadly. Her story became a powerful wake-up call, a reminder that even the most prepared travelers can face unseen battles. Mental health matters, especially for young explorers far from home, facing the unknown. To those who knew her, Alana wasn't just a girl who fell from a plane. She was bold, brilliant, curious, and her legacy now carries a message. Take mental health seriously. Watch out for each other and never ignore the signs. What was probably an ordinary disagreement turned into a life-or-death situation, showing just how fragile human interactions can be. In today's digital world, photographs can be powerful and sometimes chilling, reminders of moments that might otherwise be forgotten. In 2008, a disturbing set of images surfaced and were submitted to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC. These photos showed a man later referred to as John Doe 29 posing with a young girl under deeply troubling circumstances that raised serious questions for the child's safety. Though John Doe 29 hasn't been accused of a crime, authorities believe he might hold critical information about the girl's identity and whereabouts. The case gained renewed attention in 2015 when the FBI officially labeled him as part of their Endangered Child Alert program, emphasizing that he could be a key witness in a case of child abuse. The hunt for clues became a collaborative effort between law enforcement and amateur internet sleuths. Among them was Carlos Gonzalez, a digital forensics expert. who combed through the photos for overlooked details. His analysis uncovered small but crucial hints. A banana leaf in the background suggested a tropical or subtropical setting, narrowing possibilities to places like the Mediterranean. Reflections on patterned street pavers appeared to show part of the Turkish flag, consistent with a common practice in Turkey, where businesses often display the national flag. Using 3D modeling, investigators recreated the setting, a poolside area surrounded by specific sun loungers. These were traced to the Grossflex Miami series, a brand used in a hotel from the Primasol group, located in the town of Said, Turkey. Everything from the furniture to the landscaping matched, and experts believe the photo was likely taken around July 2006. Despite the progress, John Doe 29's identity is still unknown. The hotel catered mostly to German and Turkish tourists, but this hasn't helped narrow down who he or the young girl might be. The case remains open, driven by the hope that someone somewhere will recognize the man in the images and help authorities bring answers to a deeply troubling mystery. The quiet, tight-knit community of Seminole Heights in Tampa was rocked by a series of brutal murders that left residents on edge. The man behind these killings was later identified as Emmanuel Donaldson III. At the time, Donaldson's parents, Howard Jr. and Rosita Donaldson, tried to keep a low profile, but their world came crashing down when grainy CCTV footage surfaced, tying their son to the crimes. The footage, though unclear, captured a man walking just before Ronald Felton, a 60-year-old unemployed construction worker and food bank volunteer, was shot and killed around 5 a.m. Felton was the fourth victim in a terrifying string of murders that had gripped the Seminole Heights neighborhood. The discovery of this footage was a turning point in the investigation. Donaldson, then 24, was eventually arrested after a bizarre and chilling turn of events. He handed over a pistol to his manager at the McDonald's where he worked, instructing her to bury it so deeply that no one would find it. Instead of following his orders, the manager contacted authorities, who were quick to act. What's even more eerie is that his co-workers had been joking for weeks that he resembled the man in the CCTV footage, even giving him the nickname Killer, completely unaware how close they were to the truth. Without the damning evidence Donaldson unwittingly provided, it's possible that he might have continued his killing spree. This case stands as a stark reminder of the power of modern technology, combined with human awareness in solving crimes. It also sheds light on the unexpected ways in which small, seemingly innocent actions, like a manager reaching out to the authorities, can lead to the capture of a dangerous criminal. On the night of April 8, 2022, 18-year-old Debani Escobar went out with her friend Sarai and another girl he had just met, Yvonne. The evening started off normally. They took a taxi to downtown Monterey, bought vodka from a store, and appeared cheerful on security cameras. Later, they headed to a party at a venue called El Diamante in Quinta, arriving around 1:20 a.m. with a new taxi driver named Juan David Cuellar, whose number Yvonne saved for the return trip. Inside the party, things soon shifted. By 1:30 a.m., Debani was seen on surveillance walking alone toward the pool area, while some men appeared to watch her. Around 3 a.m., she returned but was reportedly acting differently, erratic and confrontational, particularly toward Yvonne. Concerned, Yvonne contacted David and asked him to pick Debani up. By 3:45 a.m., footage showed Debani arguing with a man, and minutes later, she entered David's car. At some point during the ride, the two began to argue. Near the dark stretch of the Nuevo Laredo Highway, an area known for disappearances, Debani got out of the car. David took a photo of her standing alone by the roadside. It would become the last known image of her alive. The reason for her sudden exit is still unclear, though her family believes David may have made inappropriate advances. He later claimed she was intoxicated, refused to give him her home address, and chose to leave the car. After dropping her off, he messaged Yvonne, saying he was no longer responsible for Debani. The next day, he followed up, but by then, she had vanished. Surveillance footage from after she left the car showed Debani wandering near Escobedo, eventually ending up at the Nueva Castilla Motel. She was seen approaching the closed restaurant, possibly seeking help, then disappeared from view. Her parents reported her missing on April 9. 12 days later, after multiple searches in the area, a foul odor led investigators to an underground water tank at the motel. There, they found Debani's body along with some of her belongings. Authorities initially claimed it was a tragic accident, but a second autopsy revealed she had suffered blunt force trauma. She had been murdered. The investigation was plagued by inconsistencies, missing footage, and suspicious handling by officials, fueling suspicions of a cover-up. The case sparked national outrage, becoming a symbol of Mexico's worsening crisis of gender violence. In Nuevo Leon alone, 20 women were reported missing in the same month Debani disappeared. Her final image, alone by the roadside at night, has become a haunting symbol of a nation struggling to protect its women, and a powerful call for justice and accountability. This tragic story began 4 years ago in Pakistan, and like many avoidable deaths, it stemmed from the perceived dishonor of defying tradition. Samaya Begum, a student at Leeds University, refused to marry the man her cousin had chosen for her at the age of 16. While child marriage might be commonplace in some parts of the world, Samaya had broken away from that norm, determined to live life on her own terms. Her defiance did not sit well with her family, especially with her uncle Mohammed Teras Khan. To protect Samaya from the intense pressure of her relatives, a forced marriage protection order was placed on her, legally preventing her from being forced into a marriage. She moved out of her father's house to live with her mother and uncle, thinking that she might be safer. However, the danger she was running from was not left behind. It was waiting for her. Angry and disappointed by Samaya's refusal to comply with family expectations, Khan saw her defiance as unacceptable. 4 years later, he took matters into his own hands in a brutal act of revenge that would cost Samaya her life. After murdering her, Khan meticulously disposed of the body. He drove to a location he seemed familiar with, a facility he could easily access. Wearing leather gloves as if he had done this before, Khan parked the car with surgical precision, ensuring the passenger door was flush with the entrance, hiding the body from public view. Every move was calculated and deliberate as he transferred the body in broad daylight with no sense of urgency, just chilling confidence. This calculated disposal of Samaya's body suggested that Khan may have taken other lives before, leaving the community with the horrifying realization that this murder was not an isolated incident, but a well-practiced crime. Shari Miller was a 21-year-old with big dreams. A top graduate from Culver City High School in California, she aspired to become a model and one day grace magazine covers and fashion runways. But her ambition led her straight into the path of a predator. On the 9th of July 4, 1984, Shari was working at the Meat Market Bar in downtown Los Angeles when she met William Bill Bradford. He introduced himself as a professional photographer and offered to take free modeling photos for her, a tempting opportunity for a young woman trying to break into the industry. Shari agreed. They met at a remote desert location north of Los Angeles for the shoot, but what started as a photography session quickly turned violent. After taking a few pictures, Bradford strangled Shari with her own bootlace. He then mutilated her body, removing her clothing and cutting off her tattoos. 2 days later, her body was discovered wrapped in a blanket and left in an alley behind a carpet store in West LA. With no ID or personal items, she was labeled Jane Doe number 60. Shortly afterward, 15-year-old Tracy Campbell, Bradford's neighbor, went missing. Police searched Bradford's home and uncovered damning evidence, including multiple photos of the still unidentified Shari. That discovery led to his arrest and more horrors. In Bradford's possession were over 50 photographs of various women. Some posed casually, others appeared vulnerable. None of them knew the man behind the camera was a killer. When police released the photos to the public in 2006, families of missing women anxiously searched through them, hoping not to recognize a loved one, while also seeking answers. Several of the women were identified and confirmed to be alive, but others remain unidentified to this day, suggesting Bradford may have had many more victims than officially known. Bradford represented himself at trial and offered no defense. His closing remarks were chilling. "Think of how many you don't even know about. You're so right. That's it." He was sentenced to death and later became known as the death row poet, writing dark introspective verses while awaiting execution. But 5 days before his scheduled death, he reversed course and claimed innocence, triggering a last-minute appeal. The death sentence remained, but Bradford died of natural causes at San Quentin Prison in 2008. The discovery of his disturbing photo collection raised terrifying questions. Were these women targeted? Were they trophies? Or was it all part of a dark obsession? Whatever the truth, William Bradford's crimes and the images he left behind continued to haunt both victims' families and investigators alike.
there, mate. Watching as well. So. Yeah. Thank you. 0605, I've got the final.
Body cams often capture surreal and unsettling moments, and this footage is no exception. In the video, officers are seen calmly bringing David Fuller, a convicted murderer, into custody. Unlike many intense arrests, this one feels strangely subdued. The older man complies fully, walking quietly as they guide him through several gates and doors toward the police station.
Yes, I'm Sergeant.
Just push through.
Oh, I see.
What's the offence?
Suspicion of murder.
In the circumstances.
In 1987, there was 2 murders. One of Wendy Nell. And
Sorry, 1987.
there were 2 murders. One of Wendy Nell and one of Caroline Pierce. There's been an investigation, and they've now been able to forensically link David Fuller to them offences. So we therefore attended his address today, and then he was arrested on suspicion of the murder.
What makes the scene even more eerie is Fuller's demeanor. Quiet, cooperative, and patient. It's as if the gravity of his crimes doesn't weigh on him at all. He moves calmly, almost as though he's simply being escorted to a routine appointment, without any signs of distress or remorse.
Shoe down here over there.
You want to do tracksuit bottoms in there?
Yeah.
Just get that one. Just do it again now. Sorry, sorry. You know where the pocket was?
Yeah. Yeah?
Can you just quickly wind your badge just to make sure it was on the pocket of your badge that it's causing this to go off? That's yes. Of course it was. Yeah, nice.
Fuller was arrested on suspicion of 2 murders from 1987, Wendy Nell and Caroline Pierce. For years, the cases remained unsolved, but new forensic evidence was able to link Fuller to these brutal crimes. The arrest was the culmination of a long investigation. As the officers brought him in, they knew the extent of his crimes. But Fuller seemed unaffected. As if it were just another day, he was quickly booked, and his days of freedom officially came to an end. Watching these final moments of a man who was once almost free is chilling, knowing the full scope of his actions and the horror he inflicted on his victims. It was November 16, 2018, when 26-year-old John Allen Chow set out on a mission that would change his life and end it. John was a devoted Christian missionary from the U.S., trained by the organization All Nations International. He was passionate about spreading his faith and believed he had one ultimate calling: to reach the Sentinelese. The Sentinelese are one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. They live in total isolation in North Sentinel Island, part of India's Andaman Islands. For thousands of years, they've stayed cut off from the outside world, and they're known to meet intruders with arrows. But despite the danger, John believed it was his purpose to bring them Christianity. He wasn't a stranger to the Andaman Islands. He'd visited in 2015 and 2016, studying the region and learning about the tribe. But this time, it wasn't about research. It was about direct contact. Estimates suggest there are only about 150 Sentinelese. They fiercely defended their land and their way of life. John knew the risks, but he pressed on. He paid local fishermen about $325 to secretly take him near the island, a move that was both illegal and extremely dangerous. On November 15th, he made his first attempt. In a small kayak, he paddled toward the shore while the fishermen waited at a distance. He called out, saying his name was John, and that both he and Jesus loved them. In response, the tribe raised their bows. Trying to show peace, he offered a fish. It didn't help. He was forced to retreat. Later that day, he tried again, this time with more gifts, including a football. But the reaction was the same: anger, arrows. and another quick escape. Still, he didn't give up. That night, he wrote in his journal that he was afraid but still felt called to return. Before his final trip the next morning, he left a letter to his family. In it, he asked for forgiveness if he didn't make it back. He made it clear he didn't blame the tribe or God for whatever might happen. On November 16th, as the fishermen watched from afar, John approached the island one last time. They saw the tribe fire arrows. They watched his body dragged across the beach. Later, they reported that the tribe appeared to bury him in the sand. Authorities confirmed his death but chose not to recover his remains to avoid further conflict with the tribe. John's mission set off intense debate. Some saw it as dangerously reckless, violating laws that protect the Sentinelese from disease and disruption. Others saw it as a bold act of faith and sacrifice. His family forgave the tribe. To them, John's actions were born from deep devotion, not recklessness. In the end, John Allen Chow's story raises a difficult question. Where do we draw the line between belief and respecting the boundaries of another culture? It's a question that still divides opinion to this day. New surveillance video has emerged showing the moments before and after an off-duty Chicago Police Department CPD officer intervened in a confrontation that ultimately led to the shooting and killing of a man during a struggle. The incident occurred last month in the Washington Heights neighborhood. The video shows the officer attempting to de-escalate the situation before things turned violent. While she was trying to defuse the conflict, the situation escalated, leading to the officer firing her weapon. The man was struck and later died from his injuries. The off-duty officer could be heard in the footage during the tense moments leading up to the shooting. The investigation into the incident remains ongoing, and as many as 7 suspects have been taken into custody for questioning. The case is still under investigation as authorities look into the circumstances surrounding the shooting and the events that led to the deadly confrontation. This clip captures a truly chilling sequence, the final known moments of Lorraine Cox as she unknowingly walks into danger. The CCTV footage shows Azam Mingore silently trailing her through the streets of Exeter late at night. Whether Lorraine was aware of being followed is unclear, but from the footage, it doesn't look like she suspected a thing. At one point, Mangori even hides behind a pillar, waiting for her to gain some distance before continuing his pursuit. It's haunting to watch. Without context, you might mistake it for a chance encounter. Eventually, he catches up and casually drapes an arm around her shoulders, leading her off down the road. The pace of their steps picks up, and it's clear Mangori is guiding her somewhere isolated. The most unsettling part comes at the end of the footage. Mangori is later seen leaving the scene, carrying a large nondescript bag slung over his shoulder. The bag is bulky, its size and shape raising obvious, horrific suspicions. Yet somehow, he moves through the streets in broad daylight without drawing attention. This footage is a grim reminder how quickly a situation can turn deadly, and how something sinister can unfold in plain sight.
What are you doing?
Dad, you ever had sex with your daughter, man? That's fucking pathetic. Yeah, I need the fucking knife, you know.
What? Ayume, please do not do this. Please, come here. Look, please, what are you doing? Never.
On April 20th, 2025, just after 12:30 in the afternoon, Louisville police responded to a call on the 3300 block of Arterburn Avenue. The report, a man, 36-year-old Atume McCollum, was allegedly intoxicated, yelling and smashing out apartment windows. When officers arrived on scene, they found McCollum and tried to talk him down, but things escalated fast. The officers noticed he had a knife and immediately warned him not to reach for it.
Right now.
What's the matter? None at all. Huh? Not at all. None at all.
Howdy.
What's going on?
What you got in your pocket there?
None at all.
Looks like a knife.
It is.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, if you reach for that knife, I'm going to shoot you. You understand that? You understand what I'm saying?
You can't arrest me. You Mason?
I'm not arresting you. I'm just telling you, if you reach for that knife, I'm going to shoot you.
Are you a Mason?
You understand that?
Or are you Mason?
No, I'm not a Mason.
Yeah, you are.
Are you?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
I'm a Hatumi, so don't even.
So, what's going on with you?
Nothing. She like that all the time.
5:15, Baker. You can cancel the tone. We're 10:06 right this minute. So, what's going on with you? Stop. Hold up. Hold up. We need to talk to you and find out what's going on.
As the conversation continued, McCollum moved toward the officers. When they tried to detain him, he resisted. One officer pulled a taser, but it didn't stop him. Then McCollum reached for the knife and tried to stab one of them. Thankfully, that officer was wearing a protective vest, which stopped the blade from doing serious damage. At that point, the second officer fired his weapon, hitting McCollum in the head.
Yep.
Go ahead, touch me.
All right. All right, put your hands behind your back.
No.
Put your hands behind your back.
No.
Put your hands behind your back. Behind your back. You okay? 5:15 Baker, shots fired. Start EMS code 3. I got a male subject with a gunshot to the head. You all right?
Yes. Are you okay?
Yeah. I think I am. Stabbed.
One in the head.
We need to talk to you to find out what's going on. Yep.
Go ahead, touch me.
Put your hands behind your back.
No.
Put your hands behind your back.
No.
Put your hands behind your back. Okay. Put them on your back. You okay? 5:15 Baker, shots fired.
Both officers immediately began rendering aid until EMS arrived, but sadly, McCollum was later pronounced dead at the University of Louisville Hospital. On February 13, 2017, two best friends Abby Williams and Libby German were dropped off near the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi, Indiana. The plan was simple: spend the day exploring the historic area, enjoying the outdoors, and capturing a few photos along the way. The girls appeared to be having a carefree afternoon, hiking the trail and crossing the iconic bridge that towered over the creek below. But that peaceful outing soon took a dark and tragic turn. As they continued along the trail, they became aware of a man following them. Sensing that something was wrong, Libby discreetly took out her phone and began recording. The footage she captured will later become one of the key pieces of evidence in a case that would shake an entire community. Later that day, around 3:15 p.m., Libby's father arrived at their agreed-upon meeting spot to pick them up. When the girls failed to appear, worry quickly set in. After searching the area himself with no success, the family reported Abby and Libby missing at 5:30 p.m. Police and search teams were dispatched, combing the surrounding area through the night. The following day brought the devastating discovery. The bodies of Abby and Libby were found near the north bank of Deer Creek. Some of their clothing was in the water, and their remains had been partially covered with sticks. A single unspent bullet was found between them, and their injuries pointed to the use of a sharp object. Libby's phone, remarkably intact, held a grainy video and a brief audio recording of the man who had followed them. Still images and a few seconds of the audio were released to the public, generating thousands of tips. Authorities developed a composite sketch based on witness accounts and urged the public to help identify the man in the video. Despite widespread media attention and community efforts, the case stalled. For years, it remained one of Indiana's most haunting unsolved crimes. Then in 2019, investigators revisited old leads and made a critical discovery. A tip submitted shortly after the murders had been overlooked due to a clerical error. The man behind that tip had claimed to be on the trail the same day the girls vanished, offering vague details about watching fish. That man was Richard Allen, a local resident, husband, father, and CVS employee. He had even interacted with the victims' families in the aftermath, blending into the community without raising suspicion. As detectives dug deeper, Allen's connection to the crime grew more apparent. His clothing closely resembled that of the suspect seen in the video. More damning forensic analysis revealed that the bullet found at the scene matched a firearm in Allen's possession. In October 2022, Allen was formally charged in connection with the murders. However, his defense team introduced a controversial theory during the trial. They claimed the killings were not Allen's doing, but the work of individuals tied to Odinism, a pagan Norse belief system, pointing to alleged ritualistic symbols found at the scene. The judge ultimately dismissed this claim, ruling it speculative and irrelevant. Despite his insistence on innocence, prosecutors disclosed that Allen had made multiple confessions. These admissions were reported by psychologists, corrections officers, family members, and fellow inmates, further cementing the case against him. In 2024, after years of uncertainty and anguish, Richard Allen was found guilty and sentenced to 130 years in prison. In the aftermath, the families of Abby and Libby channeled their grief into purpose. They established the LNA Park Foundation, a nonprofit created to honor the memory of the girls. In 2020, their efforts were recognized when the foundation received the NBA All-Star Legacy Grant. With that funding, the Abby and Libby Memorial Park was built, a place of peace and remembrance for a community forever changed. Though justice was served, the legacy of Abby and Libby endures far beyond the courtroom, carried forward through the park, the foundation, and the hearts of those who continue to remember them. On June 27, 2019, the 69th Street Red Line station in Chicago was bustling with activity. Trains came and went as usual, and among them was one operated by a veteran train driver with over a decade of experience and a spotless record. Until that day, something was different. Surveillance cameras revealed that the operator was distracted, seen smiling and gesturing away from the tracks, seemingly unaware of the danger that was rapidly approaching. At that same moment, 37-year-old mother Philane Smith found herself in a moment of crisis. She had accidentally dropped her phone onto the tracks. Surveillance footage captured her scanning the platform, then spotting the phone and making a quick decision. She climbed down onto the tracks to retrieve it. Nearby, a security guard reportedly noticed and tried to warn her, but with the roar of a busy train station, it's unclear whether his voice ever reached her. Philane managed to grab her phone and made a run toward a service ladder, but it was too late. At that critical moment, the distracted train operator finally turned his attention to the tracks, just in time to realize what had occurred. His train struck Philane Smith, and the impact was fatal. On July 3, 2019, the Chicago Transit Authority announced the termination of the train operator, citing a clear violation of operational safety protocols. Footage had made it undeniable. His focus had not been where it should have been. Still, questions remain. Would the outcome have been any different had he seen her sooner? Was there enough time to stop? Philane's family, particularly her sister Brandy Martin, voiced profound anger, not only toward the operator, but also toward bystanders and station personnel who appeared to do little in those final moments.
I knew what the last 18 seconds of our life was like, but I'm traumatized. I'm hurt. I'm disappointed.
The emotional weight of knowing how those last seconds unfolded left a lasting trauma on her loved ones. Unfortunately, this was not an isolated incident. On Chicago's transit system, the city has witnessed multiple serious rail accidents in recent years. In 2014, a Blue Line operator fell asleep at the controls and sent a train crashing past the end of the tracks at O'Hare Station. The train surged up an escalator, injuring more than 30 passengers. The operator later admitted she had dozed off and didn't wake until the moment of impact.
Female operator now admits she fell asleep at the controls and didn't wake up until moments before the crash.
The history of Chicago's rail tragedies stretches further back. In 1972, a catastrophic commuter train collision resulted in 45 deaths and over 330 injuries. Just 5 years later, in 1977, a derailment in the heart of the city injured more than 180 and killed 11. Despite decades of advancements in technology, protocol, and public awareness, these incidents are reminders of the fragile balance between human responsibility and mechanical force. The tragedy of Fellaine Smith and those before her stands as a solemn warning of what can happen in a single distracted moment. In the summer of 2021, 29-year-old Joshua McLemore died inside a jail cell in Jackson County, Indiana. His cause of death was dehydration and malnutrition.
Get on your knees. Get on your knees. Sit down. On your knees. I can't wait until they bring out. On your knees. On your knees. Sit right there. No. Sit right there in that corner. Go back out, guys. Go back out. Use your other hand here. Come on. Let the hand in, please. Stay right here in the corner. Go ahead, guys. Stay right there.
But the real story was far more disturbing, and it was caught on security footage. Diagnosed with schizophrenia, McLemore had been placed in solitary confinement, where he remained for nearly 3 weeks. The footage revealed the haunting reality. Joshua was left completely naked in a small windowless cell, with no bed, no bathroom, and fluorescent lights that remained on 24/7.
How far was it? Because they used to say the Roman bird was with a rabbit on.
He was visibly detached from reality, often speaking incoherently, rolling in his own waste, and growing increasingly frail. Although food was slid to him through a small door slot, the video showed that he barely touched it. Human interaction was almost non-existent, limited to brief, forceful encounters when guards restrained him to clean the cell or take him to a shower. Over the course of 20 days in July and August, McLemore's physical condition deteriorated rapidly. He lost 45 pounds and never once received medical attention from a doctor or mental health professional. By the time jail staff realized something was wrong, it was too late.
You wake up for me now? Huh? You wake up a little bit? You gonna wake up a little bit?
Joshua McLemore was taken to a hospital, but the damage had already been done. He died shortly after. Following his death, McLemore's family filed a lawsuit against Jackson County, accusing the sheriff, jail commander, and medical personnel of deliberate indifference and neglect. The suit alleged that jail conditions were unconstitutional and that Joshua's mental health crisis had been ignored until it became fatal. Joshua's final days, recorded on jail cameras, paint a grim picture of a system that failed someone in obvious need of care, a young man battling psychosis, left alone to die slowly in silence. His story has since sparked outrage, raising serious questions about how the mentally ill are treated behind bars in the United States. In May 2023, a senseless murder took place inside a hotel room at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Surveillance footage from that day captured what at first glance looked like a casual moment. Two young women walking hand in hand through the casino with a man they'd only just met. But what followed would leave a family devastated and 2 lives forever altered. The man was 25-year-old Brian Altamirano Solano. Just minutes after that footage was taken, he was shot and killed inside his hotel room. Investigators would later determine that the 2 women, 21-year-old Erica Covington and 22-year-old Ariana Taylor, had entered the room with the intention to rob him. They were inside for approximately 15 minutes before a gun was fired. The bullet casing found at the scene matched a firearm linked to Taylor. Both women were arrested 2 days later. Detectives used surveillance video from several Las Vegas Strip properties alongside social media posts. to track them down. Though authorities never confirmed which of the two women actually pulled the trigger, under Nevada law, both were charged and held equally responsible for the murder. In June 2024, more than a year after the killing, Covington and Taylor appeared in court for sentencing. Both accepted plea deals, and each received a minimum of 10 years in prison. Inside the courtroom, the pain of the victim's family was palpable. Brian's father, speaking through an interpreter, struggled to understand how a robbery could escalate to murder. His mother, appearing remotely from another country, described the overwhelming grief and unanswered questions she was left with.
The pain that I felt was so deep, she says. I felt like I just lost my life. I had so many questions. Why? Why my son?
The tragic case of Brian Altamirano Solano serves as yet another reminder how quickly lives can be shattered by violence. For the families involved, the sentencing may offer some closure, but the emotional wounds left behind will last far longer than any prison term. Talk about hanging on for dear life. This worker was literally dangling outside the 34th floor of a high-rise building. How he ended up in that terrifying position is anyone's guess, but thankfully, the guys inside sprang into action. Realizing there was no easy way to pull him in, they grabbed a hammer and started hacking away at the thick glass window. Of course, the glass wasn't going down without a fight. Ironically, it was designed to be shatterproof for safety reasons, but after a few tense minutes, they finally broke through and yanked the stranded worker inside to safety. He was definitely due for a much-needed break after that ordeal. As for whether he still has a job, well, that remains to be seen. Either way, he's lucky to be alive. On March 8, 2025, 2:26 a.m. in Houston, Texas, a group of construction workers in Houston weren't about to let a thief get away with their equipment, not without a fight. It all went down on the afternoon of March 5, when surveillance footage captured by Philip Krieg showed workers busy on a project along East 25th Street. At 3:43 p.m., a white car slowly rolled past the site before a man dressed in black suddenly jumped out, grabbed a concrete saw, and made a run for it. But he didn't get far. The worker sprang into action, tackling the would-be thief before he could make it back to the car. A scuffle broke out, and things took a dangerous turn when the man pulled out a weapon. For a moment, it could have ended in tragedy, but no shots were fired. In the chaos, the weapon slipped from his hands, and that's when the tables truly turned. One of the workers grabbed a hammer and charged at him, sending the thief scrambling. With no other option, he took off on foot, leaving the stolen saw and his weapon behind. According to Houston police, officers later recovered the weapon and believe the suspect eventually reunited with his getaway driver before vanishing from the area. Unfortunately, one of the workers took a punch to the face and even lost a tooth in the struggle. As of now, police are still searching for the suspect and his accomplice, but one thing's for sure, he picked the wrong crew to mess with. At Wayne, New Jersey on February 14, 2025, what started as a routine crash response quickly escalated into a life-threatening confrontation for Wayne police officers. It all began when officers arrived at the scene of a single car crash and identified 34-year-old Connor Darpino as the driver. Right from the start, he was described as argumentative and combative, but after being taken into custody and charged, he was soon released. Hours later, another 911 call came in, this time reporting that Darpino had ingested a large amount of Xanax. When officers responded to his home, the situation took a dangerous turn. Standing on a second-floor balcony, Darpino threatened officers while wielding swords. Despite repeated commands to drop the weapons, he ignored them and made his way down the stairs, still armed. That's when Wayne Police Lieutenant Douglas Itchin fired 7 shots, hitting him 5 times.
Me too.
Amy was notified he's going to be reaching out to you directly. SWAT was also notified they're going to be sending their ERT unit.
Good time for it, thank you. We're just going to hold the perimeter here until they get here. I mean, if he's being a little vocal out of his room, like yelling stuff, so if we start hearing anything that maybe sounds... hang on a second, let me go, Captain. The door. Drop him down, drop him down. Drop him.
Shot fired, shot fired.
Don't move, drop the knife. Drop the knives.
Get back. Get back. Get back.
Do not move. Turn over. 10-4. You hear that, Captain?
9, verify.
I just shot him. He was coming down the stairs at me with the swords.
Officers immediately provided medical aid, and Derpino was rushed to St. Joseph's University Medical Center, where he was listed in critical but stable condition. Now he's facing serious charges, including possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, 3rd degree, terroristic threats, 3rd degree, aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, 4th degree, 2 counts unlawful possession of a weapon, 4th degree. A wild Valentine's Day in Wayne, and one that Derpino won't be walking away from without consequences.
You are right beside me, like right there. You are a big Alright, so I guess you want this fish. It's not a very big fish, but you can have it. There you go, buddy. Well, that's awesome. Alright, well, I'll keep trying to catch more.
Check out this breathtaking bald eagle, majestic, powerful, and just a little bit terrifying. The moment the man reeled in his catch, the eagle made its move, swooping down in eerie silence. No hesitation, no warning, just pure precision. And as if he had no other option, the man instinctively held the fish out, almost like surrendering to nature's top predator. With a quick strike, the eagle snatched it up, those razor-sharp talons locking around the prize like a steel trap. It was mesmerizing to watch, but also a chilling reminder, this bird isn't just beautiful, it's a lethal hunter. Those claws, that power, it's not just cool, it's raw and tamed nature at its finest. This eerie footage captured in 2014 documents a truly bizarre and unexplained phenomenon inside the uploader's car. The clip begins with a seemingly normal scene until the uploader notices something strange. His rear view mirror accessory is swinging wildly all on its own. At first you might think it's just the AC blowing air, but here's where things get creepy. The car is completely shut off. No engine running, no vents blowing, no logical explanation.
Seriously? This car is haunted. It's off. I just came outside. There's no one in it. Why is that thing just spinning on its own? Not slowing down, not stopping. Broad daylight.
Determined to prove there's no trickery involved, the uploader leaves the camera rolling as he takes a long walk away from the car. He never stops recording. By the time he returns, it's still moving.
I have just come back from the bank, which I walked to down the street. I've been gone for at least 30 minutes, which is way more than enough time for the thing in the car to stop spinning. So let's see if it's still going. There's the car, it's still here. This is proof that the video has not been tampered with. One long cut. Oh my gosh. What the freak, you guys? Seriously? This is insane. This is insane. The car is off, the windows are up. There is no draft, there is no breeze, there is nothing to perpetually keep that thing in motion. How is this accomplished? What is going on here? I am no longer laughing.
What's behind this unsettling motion? A draft, a prank, or something more unexplainable lurking in the car? The cause remains a mystery. A routine workday in Florida took a terrifying turn when a powerful explosion rocked a hotel parking lot. It was around 5:30 p.m. at the Holiday Inn Express off West Sugarland Highway in Clewiston when a man's truck suddenly exploded, but not from a crash or fire. Instead, it was fire suppression equipment in the back of his vehicle that detonated without warning. The deafening blast sent shockwaves through the area, leaving bystanders stunned and scrambling for cover. Witnesses described a chaotic scene with debris scattered and the injured man reeling from the unexpected explosion. The Clewiston Police Department and the Hendry County Sheriff's Office responded swiftly, assessing the damage and securing the area. But the question remains, what caused the equipment to blow up in the first place? This horrifying dashcam footage captured on a road in Yichun, Jiangxi, China, shows a terrifying event that took place on April 5th, 2023. Two trucks were traveling in the same direction when one tried to pass the other. Unfortunately, the attempt went horribly wrong. The overtaking truck swerved into the oncoming lane, causing a devastating head-on crash that ended in a massive explosion. The force of the crash was so intense that flames shot into the sky, creating a dramatic scene of devastation. Both truck drivers sustained serious injuries, highlighting the harsh consequences of reckless driving and the dangers it brings to our roads. Talk about a mid-air nightmare. An Alaska Airlines flight had to make an emergency landing at Portland International Airport after a window literally blew off mid-flight. The plane had just taken off from Portland and was climbing to cruising altitude when suddenly part of the fuselage gave out and a window popped right off. Total chaos. Thankfully, the pilots managed to bring the plane back down safely. All 174 passengers and 6 crew members were unharmed, but you can bet that flight is burned into their memory forever. The airline's still figuring out what exactly caused the damage, but for everyone on board, it was the kind of scare you hope you never experience in the sky. Have you ever had something freaky happen during a flight? There's not a ton of background info on this next video, but it was first sent in back in 2015 to a YouTube channel called The Paranormal Review. According to the email that came with it, the woman who submitted the clip said she and her husband were driving down a single-lane road late at night when something suddenly jumped out in front of their car. They didn't have time to react. They hit it. At first, they figured it was probably just a deer or maybe some other animal, so they backed the car up to check on whatever it was. But what they ended up capturing on camera, people are still arguing over it to this day. Here's the clip. Take a look.
Hope it didn't hurt the car. Somewhere. Is that it right there? There it is. Oh my gosh, go.
As the car slowly reverses, you can see what looks like a humanoid figure sprinting toward them. It's fast, it's tall, and it's definitely not something you expect to see in the middle of nowhere. Skeptics, of course, say it's just a hoax. Someone in a costume may be a prank, but others who've studied the footage estimate the road is somewhere between 8 to 12 feet wide. That little detail matters, because if that's accurate, it would make the figure at least 8 feet tall, maybe even bigger. So whether it's a really good fake or something way more chilling, we'll let you be the judge. But whatever it is, we wouldn't want to meet it on a dark road at night. Palm Beach County, Florida. Things got a little weird for one deputy on patrol when he spotted something that just didn't sit right. Deputy Nadler was out doing his rounds when he noticed a white Chevy Silverado that looked like it was trying to pull someone over, a black Toyota Highlander to be exact. Now this truck wasn't marked, and at first Nadler wasn't sure if it was an unmarked vehicle from their own department or maybe another agency. So he flipped a U-turn and got behind the truck to check things out. As they rolled up to a red light, things took a turn. The Toyota Highlander decided it wasn't sticking around. It blew straight through the red light and took off. Meanwhile, the Silverado just stayed put, with Nadler now right behind it. Sensing something was off, Deputy Nadler got out and walked up to the driver. He asked the guy straight up if he was law enforcement. The man replied no and followed it up with an apology. What happened next? Well, let's just say the body cam footage tells the rest of the story, and it's not something you see every day.
All right, so the reason you're being arrested, I'm gonna take this off for you. You've been very cooperative, so we don't need to do any weird shit. Here you go. So here's what. Number one, you have no driver's license. You're not allowed to drive. You understand that, right? Yeah. Okay, number two, you have red and blue emergency lights on this car. That's illegal. That's illegal. You have lights like that, red and blue, on the front of this car. It's not inside my truck. Doesn't matter whose it is, you can't use it. You understand? Just because you're the one driving, it doesn't belong to you. You know it's there, you're using it, you're not allowed to use it. You can't use it. Only person that can use it is law enforcement. You're not law enforcement. Unless you are. Are you?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Do you have anything unusual on you or in the truck?
No.
Any guns?
No.
Drugs?
No.
Nothing like that? Weapons?
No.
Okay. Separate your legs real wide from me. I know they searched you before, but I have to search you again, okay? A bit of English? Yeah. Okay, stand up. Okay. Correct. So the vehicle was where it is now, which is Okeechobee Boulevard, westbound, about the 2800 block in front of Okeechobee Steakhouse. So the vehicle's here to make a left turn to go southbound on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, which becomes Wabasha Drive. The vehicle was found in this configuration with red and blue emergency lights activated on the dashboard, very similar to these police cars, including this unmarked that's right behind it. The vehicle is pure white, no markings whatsoever, just those red and blue lights in the front. There's also strobe lights in the grille that were not activated at the time. You can see them, 2 on the right, 1 in the middle top, and 2 on the left. As you can see, they alternate, red on the left, blue on the right, and then on the right one, it's red on the right, red on the left, blue on the right. It's plate for the Sheriff's Association. To the untrained eye, I mean, it has a sheriff's star on it, and it has emergency lights. So much so that this deputy here thought it was an undercover police car with the lights on accidentally, trying to get contact in the first place, but a vehicle was in front of this car, saw the emergency lights behind him, and actually thought it was a police officer, which is why he moved out of the way at a red light, trying to get out of the way of an emergency vehicle. Are you able to remove the lights in the grille, the red and blues, for evidence? Yeah, I just removed these. Just see if you're able to do so somehow. Let me open the hood. Where's the... Oh, here.
You can take out the siren.
Okay. So just you, and this is going to sound really silly. I'm not going to do a DUI on you now, but legally, you're DUI. Even if you have 1 puff of marijuana and drive a car, there's no amount that's considered under the limit for a drug. Did you know that? Alcohol is 0.08, right, percent of blood alcohol concentration or breath alcohol concentration. But for marijuana, it could be any amount. So 1 puff, you drive a car, it's a DUI. Does that make sense?
Some thrill seekers really like to test their luck, and in this case, they decided to play a game of chicken with a massive tanker ship. Now, these ships aren't just big, they displace tons of water. The wake alone can easily flood a smaller boat's engine or even flip it entirely, and if that happens, you're not just dealing with rough water, you're now at the mercy of powerful currents created by the ship itself. Even if you somehow avoid the propeller, it would take the ship hours to turn around and come back for you. It's basically a one-way ticket to a really bad day. But that didn't stop these folks. Not only did they pull this stunt once, they went back for more, cutting dangerously close to the ship and even trying to surf the wake like it was some kind of amusement park ride. Now in this next clip, things get even sketchier. A guy's out on a jet ski with his friend when they spot a huge cargo ship. One of them decides it would be a great idea to ride right up next to it and touch the hull. Sounds dumb? Yeah, because it was. As soon as he reaches out, he accidentally pulls the dead man switch, the safety cord that stops the engine if you fall off. Boom, jet ski dies instantly, and now he's floating dead in the water, way too close to a ship that could swallow him whole without even noticing. Thankfully, he captured the whole thing on his GoPro, and even more thankfully, he made it out okay. Man, it was way too close for comfort. Definitely one of those look cool now, regret everything later moments.
He's got a seatbelt on. Get in, get in!
Yeah, they're gonna take you off.
Spring 4, we're gonna be in pursuit. At least taking off northbound. I'll give you a direction to travel here in a second.
Oklahoma City, April 2, 2025. What started as a regular patrol quickly turned into a high-speed chase through Del City that didn't wrap up until it hit the area of Pennsylvania and Reno Avenues. That's where Oklahoma City police pulled out a textbook tactical vehicle intervention, basically a controlled crash, to bring things to a stop. During the chase, officers noticed something fly out of the suspect's car. It turned out it was a gun magazine.
I believe so. We're going to be getting westbound from Sunny Lane. We are getting on I-40, attempted TVI, just on the on-ramp, westbound I-40. Traffic is light, speeds are about 75 miles an hour. We're going to have good felony charges on the driver and passenger. In the middle lane right now, coming to the outside lane. Traffic's coming to moderate. Speeds are approximately 80 miles an hour.
742 is clear, managing both line with clean felons.
Yeah, clear on that. Coming to the outside lane, approaching I-35 northbound. I'll let you know what to do. Air 1. On that, please. Alright, still westbound I-40, passing a car on the left. Speeds about 50 miles an hour. Going from the inside lane to the outside lane.
Your call has been updated.
Throwing, it looks like baggies out the window just before I-40 westbound. If somebody can control officer, you try to help us out with that. It was like a black baggie. Just before I-40 westbound from Sunny. I-40 westbound speeds about 70 miles an hour. Traffic's lightening up right here. Looks like someone doesn't mind grabbing that magazine for us. That'd be a big help. Coming to the Penn exit right now. We'll let you know what they do. They are going to get off on Penn. Off on Penn. Light traffic to no traffic, speeds 70 miles an hour. Looks like we're going to try to go northbound on Penn. Northbound on Penn. TVI, TVI, TVI. Come back in. Hold on. Driver, he's bailing. Okay, I'm out.
Okay. Hey, listen. My wife's out here.
Once they finally got the vehicle stopped, they found a loaded firearm inside and arrested 34-year-old Deshane Jefferson. Now, Jefferson wasn't just some random guy with a gun. He already had a felony warrant out of Jackson County, and when police started digging deeper, things got even more serious. According to court records, Jefferson had met up with a confidential informant last November, trying to sell a pistol, and not just any pistol. He allegedly bragged that he used it in a shooting down in Wellington, Texas. Oh, and just to make things worse, Jefferson has a previous felony conviction from 2018 and known ties to a gang. There was another person in the car, but that individual is still being looked into by the Texas Rangers. For now, both are sitting in the Oklahoma County Detention Center. As for Jefferson, he's staring down a laundry list of charges: being a felon in possession of a firearm, putting others in danger while running from police, and flight to avoid arrest in Texas. Not exactly a smooth getaway. In Sarasota, Florida, a routine traffic stop turned into quite the standoff between a driver and police. It all started when an officer pulled over a woman driving along the road. He approached her window and asked what was going on. Clearly confused, she told him she didn't know and was still trying to figure out why she had been stopped in the first place. The officer calmly explained that her vehicle's registration had come back as criminally expired. She nodded and said okay, but when asked for her license and registration, she hesitated. She wanted to know before handing anything over why he had stopped her, even before checking her tags.
Do you have your driver's license and registration on you?
I do, but I would like to know what it is that you stopped me for before you even ran my tags. What have I done?
So I did a routine run on your tag. You followed me nose to nose in my rear, and your tag is criminally expired. So based off your unusual behavior, I did a routine check of your tag, which came back again criminally expired. So do you have your driver's license and registration?
I do, but my problem is that I'd like to know what it is that I did wrong because
You're driving a vehicle with a criminally expired tag.
But you would have to know that, like you would have to run that, so then therefore...
Okay, let me see your driver's license and registration. I'm not going to ask again.
Okay, what I would like to know is what I did wrong before
you are driving a vehicle with a criminally expired registration. Let me see your driver's license and registration.
Okay, but I would like to know what I did beforehand, before you were even to run those tags. What is it that
ma'am, driver's license and registration.
The officer warned her that refusing to identify herself during a lawful stop could lead to an arrest, but the woman wouldn't budge. She insisted she'd hand over her documents if the officer answered her questions.
Right, but I would like to know...
Driver's license and registration, ma'am.
So if I were to tell you no, then what? Because I would like to know...
Then you're going to be arrested for not identifying yourself during a lawful stop.
But what is it that you would have to...
Driver's license and registration.
What is it that you would have to stop me for the lawful stop?
Because you're driving a vehicle with a criminally expired registration.
No. Before you even ran my tags.
I don't have to have a reason to run your tag.
Okay. You sure about that?
100% sure, ma'am.
Okay.
It's a routine run.
Okay. Even though I didn't do anything wrong, right?
Ma'am, you're driving a vehicle with a criminally expired registration.
No. I'd like to know before you ran my tags.
Driver's license and registration,
I'd like to know before you ran...
Driver's license and registration, ma'am.
All right. So I'd like to know before you ran my tags, right?
Okay, I'm going to ask one more time. I'm going to ask one more time.
No, I'm getting my stuff
let's
together.
Grab it, please.
Right, and I'm getting my stuff together. But I'd like to know...
Okay, I will be happy to explain anything else that you would like as soon as I get your driver's license and registration.
Okay. But you have no reason why to stop me beforehand, right?
Again, I will be happy to explain
I'd like you to... No. I asked you a question. Right, I'm getting my stuff together.
Multiple opportunities to get your driver's license and registration. I am asking you one last time.
And I'm getting that together right now.
Out of this vehicle. So
I am
driver's
getting my stuff together right now.
The officer finally opened her door, removed her from the car, placed her in handcuffs for failing to provide ID during the traffic stop.
This vehicle. Now, what I would like to know is... Okay.
Let's step out of the vehicle.
All right.
Let's step out of the vehicle.
Can I please have some space to step out of the vehicle?
Okay.
All right.
Be my guest, ma'am.
Thank you. May I please have some space? May I please
step out of the vehicle or I'm going to take you out of the vehicle?
Ma'am, I am not... Okay.
We're going to step out of the vehicle.
Okay, please. Can I...
Okay,
because I have this right here in my... Okay, thank you. All right. May I please get my...
Put your hands behind your back.
Okay.
Thank you. You're going to be detained for not providing your identification.
I want to provide...
I provided you ample opportunity to do so.
I want to provide, and I have video right here. I want to provide my identification. Okay, that's fine. Why are you doing this?
I'm going to ask you again.
Okay, I'm going to ask you again too. Why are you doing this? Is it for numbers because it's the end of the year? Is that why?
I don't have numbers. Can you take your shoe off, please?
No, you're one of those.
We're going to leave the car. Kick your foot back.
I'm not doing shit because I haven't done shit.
In the end, the 31-year-old woman was charged with DUI and obstructing an officer without violence. She posted bond on December 30th and entered a not guilty plea. Both legal teams have since exchanged discovery evidence, and the case remains open. The next pretrial hearing is set for May 1st. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant, friends.